All right, and we're live. We'll give everybody a minute to just join in here, and then we can get started. Looks like some people are joining in. So I think the way that we can organize this in terms of the presentation would be just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, what's your company about, what you guys do, and then the topic for your presentation. You can kind of just share screen and jump right in.
Sweet. I guess, are you introducing yourself or am I? Do I take a point?
Yeah, I'll get started now. We gave it a minute. All right. So wanted to thank everybody for joining. My name is Pasha, and I'm the founder of AMZ Optimized. So we're a full service agency. We do content, advertising, and all the other management pieces that glue it all together. So the presentation that I'm going to be sharing today is going to be about fees and inventory. It's a technical and boring subject for some. A lot of people don't want to pay too much attention to it. Nathan's smiling because he also does a technical, boring, important task for people with bookkeeping. So very similar to that, you got to understand your numbers, and fees are. Amazon has introduced a lot of new things that not everybody is up to date on. So without further ado, I will present my screen. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, awesome. So my goal today is to equip you guys with some actionable strategies to successfully manage Q4 with the most amount of profit and the least amount of fees. And so you can generate that long-lasting momentum for 2025 and beyond. Why? Because Q4 is a time when we generate a lot more sales than usual. And so that propels your rank. And so you want to maintain that momentum and not lose a bunch of money Q4, run out of stock, and then next year starts out poorly. So I've seen that happen a bunch of times. It's actually happened to myself in previous years. So that's why I've gotten a little bit smarter on the preparation. And then the broader webinar series here with all the speakers is definitely aimed at preparing everybody for the upcoming peak season on multiple different areas, not just fees, but also advertising, content, and so forth. So here's some details. Q4 is a time when Amazon will increase their monthly storage fee for inventory starting in October through December. And this is something that was really pushed last year much stronger. And so in lower off-peak times, so January through September, we got 56 cents starting, and then it goes up to 266 per cubic foot, depending on the product size. And during the October to December range, we're at $1.40 to $3.34 per cubic foot. So this is really for smaller standard size. And if you compare the two, it's nearly 3 times more. So it's just something to be mindful of, where as soon as like October run comes around, people are paying almost 3 times and sometimes even more for their storage. So that's super important for not overstocking. And at the same time, you can't understock either. So there's some indirect seasonal impact on fees, which is there are going to be shipment split options that might not be available. And that's a new fee that Amazon rolled in, which is called inbound placement fee. And so due to the network congestion, some of those options might not be available, might not be able to split it. And then the inbound processing times are also longer. So I got an email from Amazon, I think it was last week, and they were saying you better get your stuff in by October 19th, or else we're not really prioritizing new shipments coming in, and it's going to take longer. And so if it does take longer, then you'll fall into the other new fee that they introduce, which is the low inventory fee. So another thing that they did is the Amazon return fee, which is applied to products with return rates above a certain threshold per category. As we know, people buy during Q4 for gifting, and that leads to higher return rates. And that might push you actually into that threshold where you start to pay for every single item that's above that return rate. And then there's also some lower fees for apparel and shoes, but the final fee kind of depends on the weight and the size of your product. The low inventory fee is only applied if you drop below 28 days of supply. So you got to make sure that during Q4 you don't drop into this bracket due to the lead times being a little bit slower. So it's important to plan ahead is the main point here. You want to get your inventory in by October 19th. That's very important. You can get it in a little later, but the times will be much longer. And you should probably have a 3PL in the territory that you're selling in. So for example, if you're selling on Amazon.com, use a US 3PL to send in inventory so you can have that handy and just have that stock available because things can get unpredictable. So it's important to have tools. Some tools that I like to use are SoStocked for forecasting. And so you can anticipate forecasting and keep in mind that Q4 sales are going to pick up compared to the rest of the year. So plan for that, and then try to use P&L tools like Sellerboard. So that helps you to really understand what you're really paying during Q4 and in other months, of course, but just really to compare and understand how your margin's affected. And then balancing your stock levels. So just aim to have optimal levels to avoid all these fees that I'm talking about and have that 3PL. So try not to under order, try not to over order, or you can over order, but keep it in the 3PL. Try not to oversend into Amazon and have that buffer stock available. And then do whatever you can to reduce the chance for returns, whatever this might mean. So you look at your reviews and you see what people are really complaining about, and then try to minimize the chance that they will make those returns, especially because if it's a gift time and returns are higher. And then you want to also minimize the product size and weight so Amazon doesn't charge you extra unnecessarily, of course. One thing that I will get into very briefly is the ships and product packaging program that will help you to basically improve your branding and lower your fees by shipping in the product packaging. So this is a program that's been around, it's just been rebranded. And then whenever Amazon gives you the option, try to split your shipments across multiple locations so you can avoid that fee. And then you want to, as I mentioned earlier, keep track of all your numbers as closely as possible and just audit and update your inventory data to make sure that Amazon's actually charging you the amounts that they're supposed to be charging you, because sometimes they make a mistake. So this program used to be called the Ship in Own Container program. Now it's called SIPP. And so this is a process where you do a review and you can there's a whole bunch of information, which I'll link to after. They outline all of the requirements for you to have qualification into this program. And then what you have to do is provide them test results. Depending on your category, you might be able to do it actually yourself. But if you don't, like if it's a fragile item, if it's a sharp item or a liquid, then they'll require you to send it into a certified lab and then provide them that information. If it's not one of those products, you can probably do the test yourself. And then they provide you insight into how to actually do this test and provide them a video of your results. And then they'll analyze it and enroll you into that program. And then you can actually have your product shipped out in its packaging and avoid the box. And that'll save you money, help you with branding, and improve the sustainability of your operation, which is what everybody wants, all these three things. So here's some links to the resources, which I'll share after the event, so people can actually see directly from Amazon all of this information, all of the numbers pertaining to your particular SKU. And that's about it. So I'll open the floor to any questions in a second, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I don't see any comments coming in over here, so we'll move to the next speaker. Thank you, guys. Elizabeth, you're up.
Awesome. Well, that was fantastic. I know definitely Q4 is a hectic time. So hopefully I can give you guys some tips on how to adjust your advertising for these peak times, because we actually did a case study. I don't think I can share my screen. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, so what I'm going to be sharing on today is how to adjust your advertising strategy so you can get the sales that you want, but you can retain profits. And this strategy was actually developed by doing a case study with a brand. So for context, hey, my name is Elizabeth Greene. I'm one of the co-founders of an Amazon ad agency called Junglr, and we focus on business-centric ad strategy. So that's what you're going to see in this today, which is really business-centric ad strategies. Just means curating your ad strategy based on your individual goals. And one of those goals with all brands is profits, hopefully, if we want to remain in business for any length of time. And so the reason why Q4 is fantastic, and also a reason why you can easily lose money is due to the consumer behavior trends. So basically, going into Q4, everybody's looking for the deal. Getting closer to Christmas, everyone's looking for a gift. And so a lot of times people go to Amazon because Amazon has conditioned shoppers to know that there is really quick ship times, and they know that they can get a large variety of products at a good deal. And so as we get closer and closer to that Christmas, everybody wants to buy the gift. Like, oh my goodness, I totally forgot. I have to get a gift for my great aunt, right? So they run to Amazon and it's like, shut up and take my money, please. I need this thing now. That consumer behavior drastically shifts directly following as soon as ship times go out past Christmas. Everybody's like, it's too late. I can't get the gift in time. Poor Aunt Ellie's just going to have to wait. And so this strategy is really capitalizing off of this wave. Now, I will preface this by saying for any strategy to work, any ad strategy, specifically this strategy, it is not going to work if you have a crappy product. I want to preface that because to make this strategy work, you really need to have strong conversion rates for the product to be able to capitalize off of the trends that I'm going to share with you. If you try this on the bottom of the barrel products, results may vary. I just want to tell you that. It's not a bulletproof strategy. Marketing does not fix product, but you can capitalize. So what is the strategy that a lot of people run, and why is this actually a bad idea if you want to maintain profits? So this is a very common strategy and one that honestly made a lot of sense, and so we tested it. With that, the idea is that you want to make sure that your products are in a really good ranked position ahead of when the traffic hits. So when that traffic comes up, then your products are already going to be there. They're going to be shown, right? So in theory, makes a lot of sense, which is why we did it. Now, we tested that strategy. We had a brand with newly launched products, and we went super aggressive right out of the gate, ranked the products. The thing is, by all accountable measures, this worked. So the initial results is we got the bestseller badge in the subcategory within the first 3 days after the anticipated peak traffic. Ran really aggressive advertising and got bestseller, got a lot of sales. Now, if we're looking at the initial results, also, this is a very aggressive strategy. Not every seller has the stomach to do this, but I will say, obviously, the results were there in terms of sales. So I'm not sure if you can see these numbers, but out of the gate, within a 30-day window, we're looking at $136,000 of sales. Fantastic, right? Ad spend was $52,000 to achieve these. So does every seller want to spend $52,000 within the span of 30 days? Maybe not. However, the results were there in terms of sales. The results were there in terms of ranking. What did we find out the problem was with this particular strategy? The problem became when it came to profits. So here, again, this was a test strategy. This was a very aggressive client, but it allowed us to get some really insanely good insights and to be able to pivot the strategy, which I'm going to share with you today. And we're going to get into the tactics of how to actually achieve the final results we got with the adjusted strategy. But we're looking here at like a 6.7% margin in terms of profit. So not terrible, but I'm sure all of us would love to be able to hit sales growth and achieve more than a 6.7% profit. I'm going to show you how to do that. This is the reason why that initial strategy does, I don't want to say it doesn't work. If your only goal is sales, run that strategy. However, if you want to get sales and maintain profits, that's why that original strategy that is often sort of shouted about in the market is that total ACoS, which is a lot of times how your advertising dollars feed into your profitability, is your ad spend divided by your total sales. Well, if you are aggressively spending on advertising and your total sales are not keeping up with the rate of how much you're spending, that is why your total ACoS will shoot through the roof, and it's going to absolutely shoot you in the foot in terms of profitability. So what did we do, right? We ran that aggressive strategy. How can we pivot off of this to have our cake and eat it too in terms of hitting accelerated growth and maintaining profits? So this is what we did. When we went and looked at the consumer behavior, so these are screenshots from Helium 10 and looking at their history of the search volume on keywords, we're noticing these very intense peaks during very, very specific times. And so when we analyze that and we looked at the consumer behavior trends, it becomes very apparent that although, again, our spend is outpacing our sales. And so our strategy that we pivoted to is instead of starting too aggressive out of the gate, we mirrored our ad spend pushes with the consumer behavior trends. Again, I do want to preface this by saying you must have strong conversion rates for this strategy to work. So you need to have some initial tests. It's not that we don't run ads, it's that we're not aggressively pushing for ranking yet. So these are the signals that we looked at for our market changes. You can look at Helium 10 historic data. You can also look at your general keywords, so your seasonal specific keywords. In this case, we're looking at Valentine's Day. So it was like, gifts for mother, those types of things. But you can also look at your general keywords as well. These you should also see an uptick on. You can look at last year's sales trends. In the original charts that we were showing you, we had no last year's sales trends to go off of. But subsequent years we did. So whenever you have historic data, look at that. You can also look at your ad spend observations and your click increases to determine, again, when is that sort of point of uptick in consumer behavior trends. All right. And this strategy we did carry over. This is something that we developed, I want to say about 4 years now. We've been using it post-peak season pretty much every single time, is to make sure that as the consumer behavior shifts, nobody can buy a gift anymore, nobody's purchasing. You want to make sure that you're mirroring your ad spend adjustments with this consumer behavior trend as well. This is something that we did get right. And so again, I'm going to show you exactly what those tactics look like when we get to those slides, but make sure you're doing that. Okay, what were the results? And then we'll go over how to do it. So the results, and this is actually looking at Q4, and I'm going to show you another apples to apples comparison. So we have tested this strategy in Q4. We've tested against other peak shopping times. So Prime Day, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, those other sort of peak shopper behavior as well. But the strategy works really, really well in Q4. And it's one that we are currently using for clients and seeing amazing results. So you notice that this spend trend, again, mirrors when we see the uptick in consumer behavior. And what did this result in? It resulted in a, I have another screenshot about the profitability, but we're looking at I think that's 29 or 28% profit margins. So again, accelerated in sales, that part worked, but we're not giving up our profitability because we're being strategic with when we're increasing our ad spend. All right, so again, strategic insights for the data. We're looking at the sales volume trends. We're doing all that historic analysis, and we're mirroring our ad spend off of that. And you notice that, sort of the peak of our total aid costs only got up to 13% and then going way down from there, as opposed to the previous test that we had run where total aid cost trends like well outpaced that. And so the results ended up being, instead of a SKU net margin of 6.7, I'm doing margin percentages here because it's not exactly apple to apples in terms of date ranges, but the percentages give us a good analysis. We're looking at a SKU margin of 28.9%. Again, that's after all costs of goods and everything, but that's also including the advertising. Ran it again the exact same time frame as well. And so the first one was Valentine's Day 2023, which is when we ran that initial test that didn't result in the profitability numbers that we wanted. And then in 2024, we used that same strategy that we had vetted in Q4 of 2023 and saw much better margins. We're looking at a 26.9% margin. And again, for context, this is within the same account. So client was very happy with that. It worked a lot better. So how do you do this in your account? What are the nuts and bolts? I'm going to go through a very strategic playbook with you. We have our pre-work, our work that we do during the peak season, and then we'll recap with what do you do post-season. All right, so this is our seasonal strategy playbook. This is pre-traffic. You can start sort of analyzing this now. A lot of the analysis takes the most time, but the good news is that you can do that up front. So what you want to do is identify when that peak consumer behavior is going to happen in your account. So to do this, you can look at Helium 10 historical data, evaluate past performing keywords. So you want to know which keywords, which campaigns, which part of my ad account do I need to start pushing? You can evaluate current search volume trends to determine if consumer behavior has shifted. Are there different keywords people are using? You're basically getting everything in place. So when rubber meets the road, you know exactly where and exactly when you're going to do sort of that during phase in which you're going to focus on. Also look at your general keywords. A lot of people only look at their giftable keywords, but you do want to look at general keywords as well. Again, whenever you have last year's sales to go off of, make absolutely sure that you are evaluating those sales trends. Historic data is key here. And then you want to make sure that you also increase budgets to prep campaigns for click increases. This is going to give you a good signal. If budgets are constantly running out, then you can't see and you can't notify like when those clicks start increasing for you. So it's helpful to have budgets in place for this. And then also make sure you do this on campaigns that show good past performance. So when we're increasing our budgets, when we're increasing our bids, when we're going after and capitalizing on that search volume and that consumer behavior, we want to make sure we're doing it right. So that doesn't mean we're launching campaigns last minute. It doesn't mean, again, it's not that we're not running any advertising because Q4 is not the time to aggressively test things. You want to essentially capitalize on everything that you have proven has worked. So you do want to get those in place. Pro tip here, that's not necessarily in the slides. Once you identify those specific campaigns or you know what it is that you need to check and you need to adjust on, it's helpful to either put some sort of naming convention in place. You can easily use a search option to find them, or maybe put them in a specific portfolio or something that allows you to easily quickly find them because it's really easy to do a bunch of analysis and forget where you put something. So I would recommend making it easier on yourself to go in and quickly do a spot check, because this is the peak traffic adjustments you're going to be doing. It is really intense. This is a little bit more advanced, but I told you absolutely proof is in the pudding. It works. So the first 3 days of increased traffic, you want to check your performance twice a day, morning and evening. And this is for the first 3 days because you want to move quickly. You want to increase budgets on performing campaigns. So anything that you can see performing, make sure it has enough budget, again, to capitalize on. You do want to optimize the bids on the underperforming campaigns before increasing their budget. So maybe you have a campaign that's running out of budget. but the ACOS just isn't where you want it to be. You can optimize the bids before you increase it. Again, our goal is not to increase budgets on things that do not have good performance. We're looking at the cream of the crop and we're adjusting those things. So really intense optimizations happening in the first little bit. But then after the first 3 days, your bid should be in a good place. So you can switch over to mainly adjusting your budgets. We're still going to be cutting things that aren't working. So we are going to cut obvious bleeders here. Obvious bleeders meaning keywords that have clicks with no sales. So we're adjusting those bids down, where our goal is not to be spending on the things that are not driving sales for the brand. So you want to make sure you're still doing those optimizations, and then pausing any non-converting keywords. Anything you can be assured of is just not converting this season. You want to make sure that you pause it. Again, this is where it's really important to have products that actually work if you're going to use a strategy, because if you have a particular product where you're looking to capitalize on something, but you have literally nothing that's converting, it's really hard to put more budgets to something that's working if you can't find anything that's working. So just calling that out here. And this is our post traffic strategy. So again, I told you that this is a playbook that we use and have been using for quite a few years now. You want to, again, you're looking at the historic trends of the top keywords on Helium 10 to anticipate the drop in traffic. Again, you can even do this. This is sort of pre-work as well. You want to know, when do I expect my consumer behavior to be different? Review the previous year sales trends and conversion rates to observe when the drop is expected. I have, we've worked with brands where one of their best selling days of the year was actually December 26th. Go figure, right? But because we were analyzing the trends and we could anticipate it, we knew that, like, okay, we don't want to completely cut off the ads right afterwards. So whenever you have historic data to go off of, make sure you adjust for that. I will say for certain holidays, so for if you're looking at Thanksgiving, that actual day kind of shifts, or, Valentine's Day may fall on a weekend or not. There are some sort of like times when like the days of the week could change, or that could kind of adjust, or at least add some more context to, when you can anticipate things. But you should get an idea of like, a couple days span when you can anticipate these changes happen. And then what do you want to do once you kind of know and you see when these changes shift? You want to do cleanup. So you're going to pause unprofitable keywords and campaigns with high ACOS, right? They're not driving really good profitable sales for us. Let's not be spending on them right now when consumer behavior, i.e. conversion rates, are down. Lower budgets on campaigns with few orders. Again, we're looking at everything that we're not driving a lot of sales through. And we definitely want to make sure that we're not overspending during these times. And then what we can do is we can gradually lower our budgets, but we still want to, again, observe the trends to maximize any residual traffic and potential sales. So you do still want to keep observing the things that are working. You're not completely shutting off the account, but you are taking a pretty heavy hand to the things that no longer make sense to keep spending on. However, if you have things like retargeting ads, DSP, sponsored display ads, it does make sense to continue those, because again, those are going to benefit off of that post-holiday traffic. All right. And that is it. So definitely I would recommend using this strategy to increase profitability on seasonal products. Again, this is something that we've rolled out for all of our accounts now. It's getting really good returns and allowing us to capitalize on those sales trends, again, without having to sacrifice profit. And I know I ran through a lot of things in like the checklist. So if anybody wants access to this slide deck, just let me know. I'm more than happy to give you a copy.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth Greene of Junglr. Next is Nathan Hirsch of EcomBalance. Nathan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
All good. Excited to hear what you got to present today. I mean, bookkeeping, it's obviously everybody loves bookkeeping.
Exactly. It's everyone's favorite subject. So today I'm going to try to get through 11 bookkeeping mistakes to avoid. If I can't get through this, then you can go to ecombalance.com/mistakes, and you can just grab the full list. I talk pretty fast, so we'll see if I can cover this in my time slot. So my name is Nathan Hirsch. Quick about me. I sold 25 million on Amazon from 2008 to 2016. Really early days, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing when it came to finances or bookkeeping or anything that came with it. And it wasn't until my next company, FreeUp, that I really took it seriously. And one of the best decisions I ever made was hiring a bookkeeper from day one of that business, before we had proven the concept, before we were profitable. And not only did that help us make really good decisions every single month, but when we went to sell the company 4 years later, we had 4 years of clean, immaculate books going back to day one, helped us pass due diligence and really change our lives with that exit. So that gave my business partner and I the crazy idea to start a bookkeeping business for e-commerce sellers, even though we are not bookkeepers. I own a small portfolio of companies today, Outsource School that teaches people my hiring process, Trio SEO that drives leads through Google to people's websites or sellers' websites, and then 2 bookkeeping brands, EcomBalance for e-commerce sellers and AccountsBalance for agencies, service providers, stuff like that. So today I'm going to talk about bookkeeping from the spot of an entrepreneur, from a seller, not as a bookkeeper. I'm not going to teach you what to do and what not to do inside QuickBooks. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. I'm going to speak to you on what you need to know to be dangerous as a seller, what you need to know to set up a good monthly bookkeeping process inside your business, because that's what it's all about. So mistake number 1 is doing bookkeeping yourself. I'm a big believer that you should never do your own bookkeeping. It is a terrible use of your time as a seller, especially if you're young, especially if you're small, newer business. Your time needs to be spent on launching new products, learning things that'll move the needle like PPC or getting on new marketplaces, finding better places to source, understanding the Amazon business. Your time spent on bookkeeping is going to take away from that, and that's going to hurt your company. And second thing is, most entrepreneurs, most sellers are not good at bookkeeping. I can't tell you how many people come to me, they've done their own bookkeeping for the past year, whatever it is, and they just have to pay me or someone else to redo their books anyway, pay my team. And even if you are a bookkeeper or a CPA in a past life before you were a seller, I would still argue it's a terrible use of your time. If you're going to start a company, just like you need a CPA, you need a lawyer, you need formation docs, whatever. In my mind, a bookkeeper is just that necessary business expense. I'm never starting a company unless I have a bookkeeper lined up, ready to go. Mistake number 2 is using a CPA for bookkeeping. So there's 3 parts of your financial team, so to speak. You've got your bookkeeper, you've got your CPA, and then when you get a little bit bigger, you've got your CFO. So your bookkeeper, they're there to give you an accurate picture of what's going on every single month in a way that you can understand and make decisions on. Your tax person is there for tax strategy, to file your taxes, to help you with questions like, hey, should I be an S Corp? Should I be a C Corp? Formation, entity stuff, registration stuff. And your CFO is there to help you make business decisions, help you forecast sales, forecast cash, say, hey, what do I do with these numbers that's going to help grow my business or cut costs or whatever it is. And from my experience, I've always tried to separate these. Usually when you hire a bookkeeper and then you start asking them formation questions, or a CFO and you start asking them tax questions, that becomes a little messy. People are very good at what they specialize in. And if you hire a CPA that also does bookkeeping, chances are they're better at the tax stuff. And they might do your books in a way that's right for taxes, but it might not be the best way for you to make decisions every single month. For example, they can put all the expenses together and file your taxes correctly at the end of the year, but that's not going to help you make decisions on marketing versus office expenses, etc. So I like to split them up. It's usually a lot cheaper. You also run into situations where if your CPA is doing your taxes, they have their own tax deadlines, April, October, and they're not going to be able to get into a good monthly process where you're getting books on time. And then my last point is, if you're not a bookkeeper and you hire a CPA to do your bookkeeping, or one firm to do everything, you're really just crossing your fingers and hoping that they know what they're doing. If you hire a bookkeeper and a CPA and maybe a CFO separately, they should tell you if one of the other parties is not doing a great job. There's a lot of checks and balances, and you get more than one set of eyes on your books, and you get them really working together as a team. And for me as an entrepreneur, that's a much better team setup, a much better situation for me, since I am not a bookkeeper. Number 3, and I see this a lot, especially with new sellers, that they try to do their books every quarter or every year. I went through this as a seller. I would kind of dump it on my CPA at the end of the year. Started off actually trying to do it myself, and I already kind of explained why that was a disaster. But then I would dump it on my CPA at the end of the year. Then I would hire a bookkeeper to do it quarterly. And I kind of slowly progressed, realizing, hey, if I don't do my books every single month, it's too late to make decisions. If I wait till the end of the quarter and then look at my numbers, that time's already passed for me to make any adjustments that's needed. Bookkeeping is great when it comes to like selling a company and getting funding or getting investments, but most sellers never go through any of that. And the real benefit of bookkeeping is decision making. It's about making good decisions every single month based on what the numbers are telling you. And that's why you need it monthly and not kind of spread out or at a different frequency throughout the year. So using the right tools. A lot of people, again, they try to cheapen out, whether it's using like GoDaddy bookkeeping or Wave. Those tools are free for a reason, especially if you're an e-commerce seller. You're going to outgrow them really quickly. You need to use either QuickBooks Online or Xero. They're both pretty good. Everyone has their pros and cons. Go with whatever one your bookkeeper has the most experience with. But again, necessary business expense, QuickBooks Online or Xero. Don't use QuickBooks Desktop unless you're really hiring someone to come to your office every single day and do your bookkeeping. And if you're a seller, you really need to have a connecting tool. Connecting Amazon right into QuickBooks or right into Xero doesn't work very well. And if you have a bookkeeper that doesn't know e-commerce and they try to just take the actual statements or the deposits and do your books with that, they clearly don't understand e-commerce. You need a tool like A2X or my personal favorite, Link My Books. Connects to the marketplaces, connects to QuickBooks, pulls in the data, refunds, returns, all of that, and helps you get books that actually match your Amazon statements every single month. So that's kind of the basic setup on the e-commerce side. But you also want to have separate banks and credit cards. You don't want to intermingle personal and business, which you probably know, but you want banks and credit cards that allow view-only access for your bookkeeper. You don't want a situation where you have to download statements every single month and send it to your bookkeeper. Your bookkeeper is probably going to charge you more because it's more work on their side, but it's also just a waste on your side, and it can delay your books every single month if you don't get those statements. So make sure you have that proper setup. Separate banks, separate credit cards, view-only access for your bookkeeper using either QuickBooks or Xero, and then a connecting tool, either Link My Books or A2X. There's a few others out there as well. So this is a big one for e-commerce sellers. Not every business needs this, but there's two types of bookkeeping. You've got cash and accrual. So cash is whenever a charge goes on your credit card, whenever you receive money, pay money, that's when it goes into the books. Accrual is based on when you actually sell the product. And at the very least, you need your sales and COGS in accrual, not on a cash basis. Now, you should talk to your CPA and ask whether you should be cash or accrual. That's a question for them, and there could be different tax benefits for either one. But for most businesses, for most e-commerce sellers, full accrual is unnecessary unless you're a little bit bigger. But at the very least, you need sales and COGS on accrual. And that's why it's so important that you use that connecting tool, Link My Books or A2X, because that's actually going to match up your sales with the products that you're selling and help you get a very accurate picture of how much you're making every single month and not base it on, hey, when you bought inventory or anything like that. This is also going to help you down the line if you ever want to sell your business or get investments, making sure you have sales and COGS in accrual. So again, another just quick way to know if your bookkeeper understands e-commerce, just like if you were a real estate investor, you shouldn't hire a bookkeeper that doesn't understand real estate. You don't want to be their first real estate client. It's even more true for e-commerce. There's a lot of old school bookkeepers out there that have worked with B2B or other businesses. They're going to really struggle with e-commerce. And one of the best quick tests to tell is if the top line of your income statement is the money deposited into your bank account. That's not correct. The top line of your income statement is your Amazon sales or marketplace sales, whatever you sell on, minus all the fees, refunds, stuff like that, and then the deposit into your bank account. So make sure that you're showing top line sales. You're going to run into a lot of issues with the IRS and matching your K-1s at the end of the year if your income statement does not match up with the actual top line sales before all the fees and stuff are put into place. And again, that's why a tool like Link My Books comes in handy. Number 7 is segmenting your books. If you want to go really crazy, you can segment by SKUs, but the very least, go by marketplace. If you're selling on Amazon US versus Amazon UK versus Walmart versus Shopify, you want to see how each marketplace is doing. And that way you can make sure you're spending your time in the right places. You can make adjustments to that margin, decreasing expenses, increasing price, whatever it is, but make sure you segment your books. Just like if you're running an agency and you're offering multiple services, you want to know how profitable you are per service. E-commerce is the same way. So when you hire a bookkeeper, make sure you talk to them about segmentation. Another mistake is caring about your P&L. So make sure, or only caring about your P&L. There's 3 statements that you should know as an entrepreneur, as a seller: income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement. Income statement or P&L shows you how much you make each month. Balance sheet is a snapshot of how healthy your business is, all your assets versus your debt, your liabilities. And the cash flow statement shows how cash positive you are, or negative, because a lot of e-commerce sellers go out of business, not because they're unprofitable, but because they run out of cash. So when you have these monthly reviews, and I'm going to give you some resources in a second, make sure you're going through all 3, your income statement, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. And if you want a sample report of what that should look like, go to EcomBalance.com/report. And that's really the industry standard of what an e-commerce income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow should look like. The last few I'll go through pretty quick. Using a tool and thinking it replaced monthly bookkeeping. There's a lot of great tools out there. These assist with checking day-to-day sales and making real-time decisions. They don't replace monthly bookkeeping unless it reconciles at the end of the month. It really can't be a substitute for monthly bookkeeping. So keep that in mind. Any tools you use outside of QuickBooks and Xero are great add-ons, but they're not replacements for a monthly bookkeeper. This is a quick one too that kind of surprised me when I started a bookkeeping business. Let your bookkeeper and CPA communicate. Link them on email chains. If you use us, add your CPA to the client portal. Your CPA might charge you for time spent talking to the bookkeeper, but it's worth it. You want your bookkeeper and your CPA on the same page at the same time, at all times. When we onboard new clients, we always get their CPA's contact information. There might be stuff about your books, whether it's formation or whether it's a cash versus accrual, that we need to be on the same page with your CPA before we start any catch-up cleanup work, or it's just going to lead to redoing work down the line. So if they're not already communicating, make sure that they're in touch. And number 11, and if you take anything from this, this is the most important. Have a monthly finance meeting on your calendar every single month. My business partner and I, we have multiple companies. We have a meeting on our calendar that we do not miss for any meeting. We run through the agenda that you can grab here, EcomBalance.com/agenda. We go through income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. We compare this month to last month, this month to the same month last year. And this is the meeting that you make decisions for your business. You're not making it by looking at your bank account or by gut or by instinct. You're making decisions by looking at what the actual numbers are telling you and making decisions during that finance meeting. So those are my 11 mistakes to avoid. I think I accidentally clicked on the link there, but there we go. So get 1 month free. If you want to use us, EcomBalance.com. Feel free to connect with me, Nathan Hirsch, on any social media channel. And hopefully I didn't go over my time spot. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. And by the way, if you have to drop off, feel free. I know it's a time constraint on your end. Next, we got Martin Zerrudo of Quartile. What's up, Martin?
Hey, Pasha. Thank you so much. It was a great presentation, Nathan, Elizabeth, and Pasha. I know we still got 2 more people left, which is Nick and John. So for people who are watching, please stay till the very end because we still got 2 more bangers right after this one. So I'll try and be respectful of everybody's time here. Let me just share my screen real quickly and kind of go through as fast as I can why I'm here today. Let me just present here real quick. Okay. Cool. Okay. So my name is Martin Zerrudo. I'm the Director of Enterprise Brand Development at Quartile. I've been here for about 2 years now. Prior to joining Quartile, I was actually a former CEO of an Amazon agency where we scaled that to about 7 figures in less than 2 years. During my time there at that agency is actually where I met some of these awesome people that we see here today. That's where I met Pasha, got a chance to meet John, got a chance to meet Nick, got a chance to meet Nathan. Elizabeth, nice to meet you today. And so, for those who are listening today, you're receiving a lot of really great information and great tips and guides from some really great thought leaders in our space. It's a really great community that we've tried to foster, and you're getting some really great information. Hopefully you can provide some as well. In terms of brand experience, I've worked with brands like Medline, valued, I think, $30 billion health product company based in Chicago. OVO, which is Drake's clothing line. Death Wish Coffee, which is a leading coffee brand. Boosted Commerce, the aggregator. Working with these brands, we provided a lot of different types of services, managing their creative, their Amazon account, governance and support, any kind of ticketing, paid ads, media, ERP support with NetSuite, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, I'm coming from a place of over 10 years of marketing, e-commerce, and brand building experience. This is probably like over 100 now of these webinars and podcasts and e-commerce conferences that we've spoken to. So thank you again so much for your time. This past year, specifically around Amazon and Amazon ads, I've been to pretty much every Amazon office in the States. So it was in Chicago, it was in Seattle. That's me sitting there, and also co-presenting with Jeff Cohen, who's Amazon ads tech evangelist. That's us there in DC. That's me speaking in front of various teams over there. And so, the goal of us today here really is to talk about, when is it time to start thinking about automating your Amazon ads? What is the ways in which we can maximize ad efficiency and performance? So before we start to address when, we really should talk about what. What exactly is being automated when you start thinking about Amazon ads? There's a lot of different ways you can approach automation, both on ads and things that are kind of like secondary and tertiarily connected to ads. But for the purpose of our conversation today, to keep it succinct, I'm focusing on 6 key things or levers in which you can really automate: bids, budget, placement, rules, your campaign creation and optimization, and then keyword harvesting, promotion, and negation. We don't have to go through this every single bullet point. Feel free to screenshot this. I believe in the follow-up emails we'll be sending out our deck, so you can kind of take this material and utilize it however way you'd like. But the focus of our conversation today is what is being automated. Your bids, right? So you're not manually making changes throughout the day. Your budget, so you're not manually going in there and making changes to the allocation of your ads. The placement, so you're not manually going in there and making subjective assumptions on where the placement of your campaigns are most impactful. Rules, so you're able to granularly make very automated rules that are custom to specific campaigns that may have very unique KPIs or goals that are outside the basic algorithm that's being utilized for automation. Campaign creation, the ability to let an automated system and software platform similar to Quartile or Quartile itself to actually create these campaigns for you. And then keyword harvesting, promotion, negation. Way back then, I used to go through Google Sheets with multiple tabs, looking at the amount of impressions and the amount of clicks, and having to go through all these keywords and making a manual decision like, hey, based off my subjective expertise, should it be X amount of clicks? Should be, Y amount of conversions before we start promoting or negating, and all of that stuff takes a lot of time. Totally can be automated. So at the end of the day, what's being automated? Bids, budget, placement, rules, campaign creation, optimization, keyword harvesting, promotion, and negation. Great. Now we know that what is being automated. I have some scenarios to detail when you should automate Amazon ads. So scenario number 1, say, for example, you're a mid-sized e-commerce brand and you're manually managing your Amazon ads. Your ad budget is around $10,000 a month, but you're finding it challenging to optimize the ad spend effectively. You're doing a lot of manual adjustments. It's time consuming, takes a lot of bandwidth away from other things that you can do to be growing your business. And maybe you or your team that's in charge of it is having a challenge being able to address some dynamically changing metrics that are happening that you really need to be able to leverage, but because you're doing it manually, it's very challenging. So in this particular scenario, should you automate your ads? 2 things to consider. 1, the budget. If you're dealing with $10,000 a month, then that's more than enough data coming through, clean data for the automation to actually make a dent into your ads. At Quartile, we recommend a minimum threshold of at least $3,000 a month in ad spend. And the reason we make that recommendation is we want to make sure that there's enough for the actual automation to play with. There's enough for the algorithm to learn from, and then to actually make some optimizations to reduce ad spend and to increase ROI and make all these different types of adjustments when it comes to bid, budget, placement, so on and so forth. So is your budget in a place where automation makes sense at $10,000 a month? Absolutely. Number 2, cost benefit analysis. There's only so many man hours or women hours that you can throw at a problem before automating at scale is just the next evolution in terms of your brands and in terms of your ads. So if there are other things that you or your team can be doing outside of manually going through spreadsheets and making these subjective and manual assumptions and optimizations and changes throughout the day throughout the week, then definitely automation makes sense. Now here's a similar format to what I just showed you. You can automate the bid, you can automate the budget, you can automate your placement, you can create custom rules, the creation of the campaigns and the keywords can all be automated. Okay, what are the benefits? You're able to dynamically make these bid adjustments as performance data is coming in. You're able to dynamically have budget allocation done for you for high-performing campaigns. It's going to optimize the placement of your campaigns for better visibility and conversion, and then ultimately you're reducing the workload. So in this scenario, if you're at around this ad spend, you're thinking about, hey, I really don't want to be doing all this stuff manually. Should you automate? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. Comments? Give me a yes or give me a no. Should we automate in this scenario? First person who says yes gets a Starbucks gift card. Going once, going twice. Okay, well, the answer is yes. You definitely should automate, but we can go to the next scenario. Okay, managing a large catalog. So say you're an agency and you have a lot of different brands, and some of these brands have a lot of products in their catalog. Some have even over 1,000. At Quartile, we have some clients that have over 1,000 in the product catalog. Should you be manually optimizing the ads? Seems like a no-brainer, probably not, but let's walk through it. Okay, what are the considerations in terms of should you be automating your Amazon ads for a large catalog? Number one, number of ASINs. Say we're dealing with clothes, right? An apparel brand has a lot of different SKUs, a lot of different colors, a lot of different sizes. Having to manually create and optimize campaigns for various types of pants, various types of sizes, various types of fits, various types of colors is an immense amount of manual undertaking, right? Being able to just take all of that off your plate and automate it, utilizing a consistent either set of KPIs or targets or whatever it is that we're optimizing towards or automating towards is infinitely better than having to go through hundreds, if not thousands of ASINs with each specific use case manual ad adjustments for bid, budget placement as information is coming through. It is just a killer of time. So is your number of ASINs at a point where automating at scale makes sense? 1,000%. Number two, which is more of like a retail consideration, is really retail readiness. And for those who are looking for some help with retail readiness, Jon and his team, even Pasha's and his team, they can help you with all of that. But before you even start thinking about ads, you want to make sure that those ASINs are retail ready. So if you're dealing with 1,000 ASINs, you're not going to be able to optimize all of those things overnight. So as you're optimizing thousands of these ASINs and these product detail pages, you want to make sure that the ones that are optimized are running ads that are automated so that your team can focus on optimizing the next set of ASINs, right? Trying to do this all at the same time or trying to run ads, whether they're automated or not, on products that are not retail ready is an absolute disaster and nightmare. So should you automate? If you have that many amount of ASINs and you need to be optimizing those ASINs, but also thinking about ad strategy, all right. Scenario number two, tell me in the chat, guys. Anybody who's still here? Yes, no? Ipsum says no. Okay. Well, the answer is still yes. You definitely should be optimizing. If you feel like the answer is yes, feel free to say it in the comments. But thanks, Steve. Yeah, you should definitely be automating. What are the benefits to automation? Again, here you can take a screenshot. Efficiency, simplification of ad strategy across a wide variety of ASINs, so on and so forth. Okay, last scenario. Limited internal resources. So say you're a small brand with a limited marketing team or ads team. You're trying to manage Amazon ad campaigns. The team may have a basic understanding or knowledge of ads, but they lack a true expertise to fully optimize your campaigns. They find it challenging to keep up with the latest best practices or trends, right? Amazon ads is changing constantly. Okay, I think in this past year, since the advent of ChatGPT and a lot of these large language models, the makeup of e-commerce and the way in which you should approach your tech stack has changed literally overnight. And that's only going to continue to change. And so for those who have teams that may have limited internal resources or limited experience, should you be automating? Here are the two things you should be considering. You know, is your team's core competency or expertise around ads? If not, then definitely lean on an automated solution. In terms of size and almost like size of your team and your business, do you have the ability to hire more people or more bodies to add to your ads team? And do they have the bandwidth, or should you really be focusing on more critical things like growing your business, right? The unique thing about Quartile, some automation platforms work great for self-service. So for example, you have a really great internal team. They're all a bunch of PPC whiz kids and ninjas. Fantastic. You can pay for a relatively low-cost self-service platform, watch a couple of lesson-lead videos, get certified on their algorithm and how they automate, and then you're off to the races. In this particular scenario, if you don't have that time, if you don't have those resources, what Quartile actually provides outside of the ability to self-serve on our platform is managed service. We have over 350 employees at Quartile, and the reason why we provide that managed service is because ads are hard, and making that decision to automate can also take a lot of time for an internal team to learn how to do. So whether you're in a scenario where you don't have the bandwidth and you want to handle everything, whether you're in a scenario where your team is fantastic, but you want to be able to learn so that at the end of the day, you're running, you're driving the car in this Quartile vehicle, you can do that as well. Or you could even have a hybrid combination of both. We actually have a lot of agencies and brands that have a combination where their team is managing a section of the brands or a section of the campaigns, and our team is handling another section. At the end of the day, the point of this particular scenario is that if you're thinking about automating, think about how it can actually not just help in terms of your ads, but help in terms of your team, right? In terms of the talent that they have, the core competencies they have, and where they should be focusing all of their efforts in. Okay, hopefully that makes sense so far. Maybe that works. And yes, Steve, yes, they were all yes. The answer to the question was yes. Okay, so we know what is being automated. We know when it's being automated. So who can automate our ads? So I'm not going to say that Quartile is the only, sole vendor out there that is able to do some, ads optimization. But working at Quartile, who can automate your ads? We've been featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal. The reason why we've been focused there is really around our machine learning and our ads optimization, right? Our technology is not a ChatGPT clone. It's based off of 6 patents in the US, so it's all proprietary. In terms of some recent success that we've seen, Prime Day, which I think was like 2 weeks ago or so, there was $14.2 billion worth of sales during that record-breaking Prime Day. I know me, my wife, and my 5-month-old son has probably contributed to that 14.2 billion. But of that number, Quartile actually managed 1.23% of that, so $170 million worth of automated ad sales that went through our platform, right? So who can automate your ads? Absolutely, we can. In terms of what is the value? Okay, great, Martin. I understand what's being automated, bid, budget, placement, so on and so forth. I understand that in these scenarios, this is when I should start automating my ads. I understand that, hey, Quartile might be the best fit for me on who can automate my ads. What am I expecting here? What is the value that this automation is bringing? Are you just turning on a couple of things, setting it and forgetting, and then you're just collecting a monthly check? So the value of automation is really being seen here through what is called Amazon Marketing Stream, or what we call AMS. So AMS provides you with hourly data that's coming directly from Amazon on certain metrics. Right now, we're looking at conversion rate, but you can look at ACoS, you can look at cost per click, you can look at a whole host of different KPIs. Why is this information important as it relates to automation? So say, for example, Pasha is starting a fantastic new brand, Pasha's Wonderful Widgets. Now, based off of historical sales performance and campaign data, excuse me, what we're seeing here, let's just look at Monday. So this is dummy data, but let's take a look at Monday as an example. If Pasha's Wonderful Widget customer, or their ideal customer, at midnight is shopping for his product, and based off historical data, what we're seeing through AMS is that there's an 18.33% chance of conversion for the campaigns and the keywords that are running for the ASINs that Pasha's Wonderful Widgets are being sold on Amazon. Great. That customer now goes to sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning. What our algorithm and what AMS is telling us is that that conversion rate goes down by 3%, goes down to 15.58. What Quartile and our automation will do is reduce the bids on the campaigns that are running, knowing that there's a 3% less likelihood of conversion. This is happening automatically across all of your ASINs, all of your campaigns, across placements as well. So having said that, they start waking up. Hey, maybe they want to go for a midnight snack, right? Maybe Pasha's Wonderful Widget is the best widget for a midnight snack. They wake up at 2 a.m. That 15% goes to 21. 3 a.m. goes to 24. 4 o'clock, 27. By the time it's about, time to get ready to go to work, you're at 30%. What we do automatically is take the reduced the reduced budget that we took out because we took out that wasted ad spend. We take that wasted ad spend and we reinvest it during the times when there's a higher chance of conversion. So it will automatically reduce your bid and save ad spend when people are less likely to convert, and will automatically reinvest those dollars when there's a higher chance of conversion. And that's happening throughout the entire day, throughout the entire week. What is the value of this if you look at it in a yearly impact? If you're going in there and making a manual change once a week, it's 52 changes in a week. If you're doing a manual change for one campaign, it's 365 changes in a year. Theoretically, you're able to do 8,760 automated bid changes, budget adjustments, placement adjustments throughout the year. And that's for one product. Now, if you imagine out of those 8,760 adjustments, 50% of those adjustments lead to sales. Let's say 30%, let's say 25%, let's say 10%. Like, that's the power and the value of the automation, is that at scale, it's literally doing things for you to maximize your ad budget, to maximize the investment of your bids, to maximize the placement of your campaigns, and a whole host of other things to ensure that every bid is providing as much value, every campaign is providing as much value to you as possible. And that's pretty much it. That's what's being automated. That's when it should be automated. That's how it's being automated. And this is the value that it's bringing to you. In terms of, hey, this sounds really great, but it might be too good to be true. What does it look like if we actually start automating? You know, you're saying all these great things. What is the actual proof in the pudding? So instead of picking one or two really, cool cherry-picked case studies, what Quartile did was we actually took 2,559 Amazon clients, and we really just asked one question. What happens when somebody goes from their traditional approach to ad management to our automated approach, where we're managing the bids, we're adjusting in terms of the campaign structure through Quartile 1, so on and so forth? What happens if I switch over to Quartile's automation and their automated machine learning features? What we see in the first about 4 to 6 weeks is a slight dip in performance, which is what's seen here in the case study, because the algorithm needs time to learn. It needs time to learn where is the best to automate in terms of your bid budget and placement. After that is where the magic happens. From month 2 to 4 is where we see an increase in ad sales and ad spend, but also an increase in your return on ad spend, which usually doesn't happen because as you dump more money into your ads, usually you see a slight dip in performance. But what we're able to do once we go through that learning phase is identify during the day when is it best to invest into your bids and to make those adjustments throughout your budget, placement, so on and so forth. Within first 3 months, what we typically see is a 30% reduction in your ACoS and a 15% increase in conversions. And the proof is in the pudding in terms of the awards that Amazon has given us. Performance Growth Award 2 years ago, Scale Technology, we won this, Technology Innovation last year. This year, we're going to be at Unboxed in New York, hopefully in consideration for a lot of these other awards as well. So at the end of the day, yes, we would love for you to work with Quartile, but whether you work with us or not, the goal and hopefully the value that you got out of these last 10 to 15 minutes is, yes, automation is great in the scenarios in which it makes sense. So long as you know what's being automated and the value of that automation, it can definitely be life-changing for your brands. So if there's no other questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Happy to answer as many as I can. And if you want to reach out, learn a little bit more, I can totally send you this deck. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me, martin.zerrudo@quartile.com. Thank you so much.
I was on mute there. Thanks, Martin. Full disclosure, AMZ Optimize is an agency partner of Quartile, and we're loving it. So, yeah, check them out. Next, we got Jon Tilley, the AI Amazon guy, one of the first to use GPT as a service for Amazon, and it's evolved since then. And I think you're going to be talking a little bit about Rufus, right, John?
That's right.
Is that the animated Disney character, Rufus?
Yeah, they could have done a better job with their character, right? Yeah.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Let me know. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to just take 15 minutes here to talk about Amazon Rufus. That's Amazon's AI shopping assistant. It's been in beta for a while, and I think it's been now live maybe 3 weeks across North America, and essentially just giving customers a different shopping experience. So I'm going to jump in and show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to give you some practical ways as to how to check and ensure that your content on your PDP is optimized for Rufus. And there's a free ChatGPT example that you can copy with prompts that I'll show you later, and I'll give you an opportunity to kind of download that as well. So let me kind of get into this. Just in terms of us, ZonGuru, we're an operational tool set for brands and agencies that sell products on Amazon. We have over 18 tools, but we really know our flagship products are around SEO. We were the first to integrate ChatGPT in the space, as well as doing contextual SEO, looking at competitors, a few firsts in the industry. So we're known for that, and we're now in beta with our Rufus optimization on your content as well. So truly understanding what is the AI looking for and how to make sure we're prompting the AI in the right way to ensure that it's optimized. So let's talk about Rufus. There's a backstory on why they chose a corgi. I think it was a dog in Amazon, and I think it was at the campus. And so if you bring in a dog Jeff Bezos was saying every dog should be called Rufus. So anyway, you guys can look that up, but that's why they named it Rufus. But this is a strategy around how do you ensure that your content is Rufus optimized. What is it looking for? And moving away from like lexical keyword focused searches to more semantic, right? Looking at the broader picture, different use cases, really trying to get your visibility up around all of the various types of recommendations that your product can get from Rufus when people are asking questions rather than just typing in keyword terms, right? So, I put this down, for the last few years, we obviously look at desktop searches by your customers versus mobile, and you do take a mobile first approach to optimizing your listing. But I want to start moving that towards this idea of an AI optimized first approach, which is understanding what is specific case Rufus, what is it looking for in your listings, and how do you make sure that you're optimizing for the AI side of it, and also from an AI perspective of what are customers doing. So they are on their mobile, but they're not just going in and typing in a search term anymore. They're actually interfacing with this AI assistant, asking questions, and there's power there because every young person listening right here, if not everyone, you're changing your daily activity. You're not just going into Google and typing a search term. You're now going to ChatGPT and you're typing in questions, asking for answers. And so that change of behavior is now apparent in Amazon. So understanding what the behavioral changes on your customer and then how do you optimize your content for that is critical, right? So we're moving to this AI first optimization from a customer experience perspective. I'll show you an example of just, if you haven't seen it, this is just literally recorded off my phone, showing you, the experience of, using, Rufus. So, instead of typing in a specific, keyword search, you're actually asking a question, right? And you can see the pop-up is happening at the bottom, and Rufus is giving you answers. So I typed in what is some of the benefits of an Instapot. It's giving you answers. We go through, you do have different pathways that you can click on that it's giving you to really get deeper on this type of product, this category. I'll just bounce forward here, but you can see, I type in some other questions. What are the benefits? I think I typed in can you recommend, right? And so now it's coming up with recommendations and it's returning certain results. So what is Rufus looking for in the recommendations? What are the signals that it's looking for from products so that it would make a recommendation? And it's clearly getting a lot of signals, both from the content, from the reviews, Q&A, your health store, everything that it has in the algorithm, right? So, but the important thing here is you can see this whole experience has been happening outside of the typical search experience that is on Amazon, which is typing in a keyword, going to different pages, and going from there, right? So it's a completely different experience. Okay, so what is the Rufus strategy? And this is what we've been testing over the last 2 months, I would say, is understanding, hey, how are we typically prompting Amazon's algorithm with keywords, and content in your listings as one of its biggest signals, to understanding now, hey, what are some of the other potential prompts that we could be giving to the algorithm so that Rufus is returning you in results and comparing those. And one of the interesting things as a side note is how you prompt ChatGPT for Omni, and the results you're getting back from there are very similar to what we're seeing out of Rufus as well, right? So there's a very strong parallel in those two. So the strategy here is like, don't just optimize for keywords. You need to start looking at search intent and benefits. And, we've done that for sure with when you're typically optimizing a listing, you're looking at all the keywords, what type of customers keywords are typing into Amazon and the array of keywords that are there, the universe. But I think through Rufus, there's a lot more of this, different use cases, behavioral examples, different types of search intent that gives you a wider net that this is not capable of bringing your product in for, right? So you're not just searching for a specific product, you're searching for, hey, what would be a good solution to this specific type of use case, right? And that's what people are typing to Amazon. So how do you optimize for that? So you need to uncover these journeys and pathways. I'll give you an example here. So, here's an example, right? So we're looking at blackout curtains, right? So let's say you sell blackout curtains. Here's some various search intent and benefits that you could be optimized for. So people are typing into, the AI assistant, hey, how do I improve my sleep quality? Right? There's nothing there that mentions blackout curtains, but you can get AI. Rufus is going to return you for that, saying, hey, a good way to improve that is to have blackout curtains, right? Or how do I reduce my energy bill? So, these are search intents that are happening without the actual specific product in there. How do you identify what those are and make sure that you've covered that in your content? Oops, sorry, I went forward there. And then benefits, right? So different types of benefits. We're typically more used to the benefit side of it, but blocks light out to create a dark sleeping environment, etc. So that balance between search intent and benefits is critical. Implementation. So you have to obviously use AI tools to identify the user intent. You can use ChatGPT to help you surface some of those types of user intents, and then optimize your listing for that content. Because at the end of the day, your listing is a very strong signal to still prompt the AI, right? It can be doing whatever it does on its side, but it's how your listing prompts Amazon's algorithm, Cosmo, its AI, comes from your listing and the content that's in there, and then obviously how it's obviously converting on that content, right? So you've got to make sure that you as a customer are still prompting the AI with well-optimized listings for the prompts, and then obviously for customers. Your Q&As is important, and your reviews. But figuring out, like, understanding what is the AI looking for, and then serving that content is really critical, so that it's answering with your product when you're asking the questions of Rufus. Here's some prompts. I'm going to fly through this because I give you a link where you can get these prompts, but I just done it as 5. But if you follow this prompt, you're going to get some really good deep content across the different use cases for your product category, that you then can compare to your listing and make sure that your listing covers these scenarios, because this is the kind of stuff that Rufus is going to be looking for. So, I'm selling a product on Amazon. What is the product? I need assistance in creating this guide. 5 common benefits, 5 unique characteristics, 5 relevant questions, and then, 5 diverse search terms, 5 non-standard search terms, 5 relevant questions. These are things that will give you a really good sense of the type of content that's been looked for. And here's an example. So if you go to zonguru.link/prime-prompt, if you go to that link, there's a free ChatGPT result based on the prompts and what are the results that are coming back. And this was done, I think, for an Instapot, right? So you can go in and just kind of see what those prompts are, copy those prompts, and then try it yourself in ChatGPT. This is the free version. If you don't have the paid version yet, you should get it, because there's a lot there that will help you. But you can do that and just jump in and use it. Obviously, the other way you can do it is with ZonGuru. We have a listing optimization tool that is a combination of gathering intelligence around keywords, specifically localized current keywords for a marketplace, what's going to give you high search volume, intent, conversions. But then we build in all of these other pieces, right? We have technology that is continually testing, understanding what are the types of prompts that the AI is looking for, and how to best serve that content. So we build all that in, and then we give you, in under a minute, we'll give you an optimized listing, which is a baseline written in the right way to match the types of keywords, the intent, the behavioral stuff that is synonymous to your category, right? So you can use our tool, and what's really cool about it is you can compare it to any other listing and understand how you compare, and how you can ensure that you're better than any of your competition, right? So that does it in a minute. So all of that general intelligence we build into the listing and give you that baseline that you can then optimize further, and you can do it at a larger scale as well, which is great. So we had the first in the space to launch ChatGPT back in January of 2023. So we've been iterating on that. We are now in beta on the Rufus optimization, and this will be something critical for you to do in your build up to Q4. You have our Keywords of Fire tool as well. We're getting some excellent results on the tool, including figures that we come back around 23% average increase in revenue on existing listings. This is what we track, similar to Quartile. We track across our whole user base to see when they use those tools and what results they're getting, and an improvement over the best listings on page 1 that match the algorithm. So this is just an example of the tool. you can jump in and use that. There's a 7-day free trial. We also do have an audit report around organic sales and sales potential. So for brands that qualify, you can reach out. We do a very deep dive on your current ranking, what keywords are sitting outside of the buy zone, how to move them into the buy zone, and what they're worth. We do a pricing analysis as well. We look at your profits. So this is something that can really set you up for Q4. This is for qualified brands. You have to be doing 2 million plus on Amazon to qualify to have this report. But feel free to fill out the form, and then we'll get your team onto it and give you that free report. It's super interesting to see what you can expect and how you can increase your profits to what Elizabeth was saying going into Q4. It's critical. So we'll give away 10 of these if you click on the services link, zonguru.link/growth-audit, or if you just want to use our software, zonguru.link/20 for 20% off. Or if you're an agency and you want to use our software, that's our fastest growing segment. You can go to zonguru.link/EP and you can connect with us there. So those are 3 links. You're welcome to jump on there. Don't forget also that link I shared earlier. If you want those ChatGPT prompts, so you can just do it yourself outside of our tool set to get some references around what Rufus is looking for, to ensure that you're thinking about that experience and you're AI optimized first going into Q4. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon. That was very insightful. I mean, it's AI in the Amazon and e-commerce space is something that's definitely emerging. So I appreciate you sharing all that. Last but not least, we have Nick Penev, the EU guy from Hellotax, Extreme Power Brands, and matchmaker extraordinaire in our industry. Everybody knows Nick. So without further ado, Nick, please take the stage.
Okay, thanks, Pasha. And you're not right. No, I meet 50 new guys per month, so I guess I don't know everybody yet. So let me share my screen, and I'm gonna talk about something which everybody hates, even probably more than even taxes. But let me share my screen, and then you might like it at the end. Okay, guys, do you see my screen?
1 second. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, guys. So we know the title is to crush Q4 Amazon sales strategy. So I'm gonna tell you something which you can actually crush regardless of the quarter. But of course, if you wanna crush Q4, you probably need to listen to my advice at the end of the presentation. So I'm Nick Penev. I'm the co-founder of Extreme Power Brand Scale. I'm a partnership manager at Hellotax and a partnership advisor to over 40 companies in the e-commerce space. In other words, we help companies to grow through partnerships, and we also help e-com companies to grow internationally. And probably our focus is Europe. I'm a webinar host. I've hosted over 300 webinars and hack series. And the last but not the least, I'm fully remote since 2010, long before it was cool. And I'm going quite from my beach hours where I spend the vacations here. So I never take a vacation, I always work. I was supposed to be on a webinar vacation because of Pasha. I need to actually break my promise. So today, we're going to talk about why expanding to Europe can be a huge success for e-commerce sellers. So I'm going to give you some numbers because I love numbers, and numbers are what is going to make you do an action and do the next step and go to a certain market or certain decision. So Europe has 750 million people here. So that's twice to what you guys have in the US. 450 millions of those are over 18, which means potential clients. So here is a crazy stat for you. Only 9%, only 1% of Amazon US sellers are also selling on Amazon Europe. Can you imagine that 99% of your competitors are not here? There is brands where there is huge demand for them in Europe and nobody's selling those products. So just think about that. Another thing, Europe has 200 million active Amazon users per month now, and there is 250 people who are not shopping there yet. Amazon also gets 1.5 billion visits per month. And the other thing which is also very interesting, Amazon has only 20% market share in Europe and keeps on growing year after year. And the last but not the least, everybody's complaining that Chinese sellers are playing dirty, they cannot compete with them. So I have actually a good news for you guys. Europe has the highest average order value in the world, which means that if you have a quality product, the Chinese guys are not going to bother competing with you. because no Europeans love quality, and they're willing to actually pay more than what you're selling the product for, in the States, for example. But of course, let me show you some stuff. So this is like a chart about the Amazon sales by country. So you can see this is the States, like almost 400 billion. This is like rest of the world, like 80 billion. And this is Germany and UK, which are the biggest markets in Europe. So see, this is how early those markets are. And you're going to say, okay, USA is very big. I mean, that's true, but it's very competitive as well. Profit margins are lower. And see, those markets are huge. Like 37 billions, 3 billions, and 9% of your competition are here. So you need to take a small market share. You're going to be making a lot of money here with a higher profit margin. Another thing, here is the breakdown across Europe from the number of visits that those markets are getting. So like Germany is the go-to market that you should consider when expanding in Europe, and then another one is UK. So when you combine those markets, you can see 1.5 billion monthly visits here. So I'm showing you those numbers because if I tell you that Europe is great, you're not gonna believe. But when I show you those stats, and when I tell you that 99% of your competitor not here, you're gonna start thinking more about that. So then you're gonna ask, okay, so why are we showing that? So what problem are we solving? What can we do for you guys? So this is the one thing. Sellers and people who want to expand to Europe, they know that it might be a good opportunity, but they're struggling with the first step because they don't know how, and they don't have the right partners to expand to Europe. So the thing is, this is how it works. So there are some blockers that you need to overcome. Of course, it's not that easy. I'm not saying that it's easy, but because it's not easy, if you make some like a little effort, you could be the first one who is selling in a certain category in Europe. So one thing that you should consider before you expand in Europe. So having the right product, because if you don't have a product, you cannot sell anything. So you need to do research. You can use Jon's tool, ZonGuru, or other tools, and you can actually see what is the opportunity for your product, what is the demand, how much sales you can make. So you can actually make a decision before you expand about what is the opportunity in Europe. So the next thing, after you validate that there is a product, there is demand for a product, and you can expand. The next thing that you need to deal with are VAT, product compliance, fiscal representation, customs, and logistics. But just to summarize, like taxes and compliance are the main thing, because logistics, there's a ton of companies who can do that. So those are the blockers. Then the last but not the least, culture and language barrier, because if you expand in Europe, there is multiple countries, so you would need to localize your listings, which means that even if you come from the States to the UK, British English is different than the USA, so you need to do all those things. So this is what we've actually done and what I've developed. I've developed a program called Expansion to the EU Blueprint. So what do we do for you guys? First, you send us your Amazon store, and then we're gonna do a research for our partners. And they're gonna tell, okay, there is an opportunity for a product, this is how much money you can make, here are your competitors, and you can make a decision if and how much money you can make, and then you can proceed with the next step. So VAT compliance. Now we cover the VAT compliance for Hellotax, so we can actually get your VAT, which takes around 2 to 3 months, because this is the one thing which is mandatory to start selling in Europe. So we see the opportunity for you guys. Then we set up the VAT for you guys, and you're ready to start selling. In the meantime, when you're waiting for the VAT, you need to do a product compliance check. If you're a non-EU company, you need to have the so-called irresponsible person who's gonna be the person who's gonna be the person between you and the client. So you need to put them in your label. There is certain specifications, but this takes a few weeks, so it's not that hard. And then, of course, we have partners who can help out with the logistics, depending on where you're storing. If you manufacture your goods in China, we have a partner who is holding their stock in their Shenzhen warehouse, and they feed the stock quickly based on your sales that you're doing. And this applies not only for Europe, but for the USA. So in other words, we're helping you save on the cash flow. Instead of ordering huge quantities of your products, you can do that weekly. Localization and translation. We have a partner who is going to help you localize your listings, and they're going to help you actually connect with your clients, because if people don't like what you're saying or the way you're saying that, they're not going to buy. An example about the localization and translation, for example, Germany has 80 million people. This is the population. 8 million of those are actually Turkish speakers. So whenever you sell there, you need to localize your listings in Turkish. Otherwise, you're missing on 8 million people who are potential clients. And of course, the last thing that we do for partners for brands that we partner up with. No, we can either have our partners manage their brands. We have partners who are gonna buy your product and distribute them across their channels for certain products if they like you guys. And the last thing that a lot of people don't know when they expand to Europe is when you expand to Europe, and if you're selling on Amazon, if you're a quality brand on Amazon, you can transfer the reviews, which means that you're not a new brand, so you can easily go to page one if you have a partner who can help you out, like us, to set up the correct listings now and all the stuff that you need to actually make do well in Europe. And here is like a sample report. By the way, this report is done with Jon Software, with ZonGuru from one of the partners. So this is like a sample report that we're doing for brands. Now they're selling earplugs in the States. They're doing very well, and this is what we did for them. Now this is the seed keyword. This is the search volume for the product. You can see the top 3 additional keywords, so you can easily see the demand. What is the bar demand? What is the competition opportunity, investment sweet spot, and revenue potential? You can see the price, the ratings, average monthly value, units sold. So in other words, we can show you the money. We can show you how much money you can make on Amazon. And then, of course, you're going to say, okay, but who are my competitors? So you can easily see here for this chart, these are the competitors for this product. So you can see how much monthly revenue they're doing, how many reviews they have, and who are the other products in the same category. And you can see clearly that, like I told you earlier, like the product with the most expensive pricing has actually the most sales, even though the other guys are actually twice cheaper or 4 times cheaper. So Europeans love quality. If you have a quality product, if you have a partner who can help expand, you can make a ton of money with higher profit margin. And everybody knows that profit is what people care about. That's what my wife cares about. Doesn't care about my revenue. She tells me what is the profit at the end of the month. So that should be the same with you guys. And one stat from the people that we've helped expand in Europe, on average, no companies who are selling in the States, they can add from 20 up to 50% of what they do in the States in Europe on Amazon. And we're talking just for Amazon right now. And there's 40 other marketplaces that you can sell on, and some of them are actually niche marketplaces. So there is actually even bigger opportunity than what I have shared with you guys. But to make it easier for you, I mean, if you want to see what is the opportunity for your brands in Europe, or even if you don't have a brand, you have a product idea, just send your Amazon store link, your website link, or just your product idea, and we're gonna take it from there. And because I have a lot of partners who help out in this expansion package, we're gonna get a lot of discounts up to 3,000 plus, on the VAT, product compliance, logistics, funding, and translation costs. And of course, you're not gonna pay anything for that. It's a free consultation. So here is my email, np@hellotax.com. Send me an email, and we can go from there. And I think that's it, Pasha. I think I did it in like 10 minutes.
Very nice.
Right?
You did. Yeah, you're good. And that's it. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate all you speakers coming on and sharing. Hopefully we provided some good value for our viewers, and special thanks for everybody who stuck through the whole thing. We've been talking for almost an hour and a half now, but there's so much that can be said when it comes to Amazon. It's a whole ecosystem. You need to know content, advertising, expansion, and search optimization, and fee structures, and that's the formula to success. So give another 30 seconds here for the comments. If anybody has any final questions, we'll give that a second. But otherwise, yeah. Thank you guys, and we're wishing everybody a really successful fourth quarter. Let's make this the best one and make 2025 a big success.
Okay. Let's take a vacation in August, and then we can start with Q4. There's still time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
If you guys want to go to Europe, you should start with the VAT right now. Otherwise, you're gonna miss Q4. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why the timing of this webinar is, it's kind of like, oh man, quarter four. It feels far away, but I'm placing my order stuff right now. Like I'm the most busy for quarter four right now because, like I was saying, if you're not getting your stuff in by October, then you're kind of missing out. But all right. I hear my son calling me already, saying the dinner's ready. So,
dinner. Too early for dinner, Pasha.
Well, they're calling it dinner because they're translating it from Polish. It's like lunches. Anyway, that's a long story. But I will share the email addresses to all the speakers, so everybody, if you can, email everybody with your slide deck, that would be probably helpful. And then we'll have the recording shared to everybody as well at the end. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Pasha, for hosting.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.